I'm Professor Marty Pfeiffer from College of the Canyons. Let's make a web page from scratch. This project is based on the exercises in Chapter 4 of Learning Web Design by Jennifer Niederst Robbins. If you've already done those exercises, this will be a piece of cake. If you haven't, this will be a chance to get some good practice. Either way, you'll learn some cool techniques to make coding web pages easier. First off, make sure you have Visual Studio Code installed. You might be familiar with another text editor, but I'd like you to try using this one for now. It's an industry standard and has some awesome tricks. You can download it from code.visualstudio.com. Also, download the simplewebpage.zip and unzip it. You should wind up with a folder with two items, a text file and an SVG graphic. Move that folder to wherever you are keeping all your files for this class. We'll talk about efficient file management later in this class. Open Visual Studio Code and press Continue without signing in at the home screen. On the Welcome tab, click the Open folder button under Start and choose the Simple Web Page folder. At the bottom of the screen, you may see a Restricted Mode button. Click it and then press the Trust button under the In a Trusted Folder explanation. You can close this window once you've changed the setting. Close the Chat sidebar on the right. Now, well-formatted code is easier to troubleshoot, so let's turn on Format on Save. On Windows, go to File, Preferences, Settings. On the Mac, it's Code, Preferences, Settings. Format on Save will be in the Commonly Used section, or you can just search for it. Next, we'll add a single extension called Live Preview. This instantly shows what your HTML will look like in a web browser as you code. On the left side of the window, click on the Extensions button to open the Extensions pane. In the search field at the top of this pane, type Live Preview, and then click Install. Of course, we'll have to write some HTML first to try it out, so let's do that. Click the Explorer button to return to the previous pane with our files. Let's grab the text from the starter.txt. Click on it, and then it will open a new tab on the right. For now, we want the website text. We'll deal with the CSS code later. To quickly select a bunch of lines, you can click and drag through the line numbers. There's no need to sweep the I-beam cursor through the text. Once it's selected, copy it to the clipboard by pressing Ctrl or Command-C. Control is for Windows, Command is for the Mac. I always try to give the Windows keyboard shortcut first. Let's create our HTML file by hovering over the top right side of the Explorer pane and pressing the New File button. Type index.html. You might see this text at the top saying Generate Code or Select Language. Just click the Don't Show text to get rid of it, or start typing. Whatever. Let's start by declaring what type of document this is. Typing an opening angle bracket, also known to math nerds as the less than symbol, and the suggested text immediately pops up to save us some typing. In typical Microsoft fashion, you can use this feature by selecting the text you want from the list, either by clicking on it or using the up and down arrows and then pressing the Tab key. The first option is the one we want, doctype HTML. Press Tab and then Return to go to the next line. Let's add our first HTML tag, HTML. I won't mention it each time, but all the tags need to be enclosed in angle brackets. As you type, it will put a list of likely suspects based on what you've typed so far. Just typing HT gives us HTML, so you can press Tab to accept that. Notice it doesn't automatically close the tag as it did for the doc type. That's because we need to decide what else we want in this tag. So let's add a lang element and set the language to English. After typing an L, it will figure out what you want to type. So press Tab again to let it type it for you. Now you'll notice something cool. It completes the element with the equal sign and quotes and then positions the cursor between them. Type EN for English, then press Tab again to exit the quote marks. Close the tab by typing the greater than symbol, also known to HTML nerds as a closing angle bracket. Since most HTML tags need to be closed to be correct, VS Code does that for us. Press Enter or Return to get to the next line. You'll notice the closing HTML tag moves out of the way a bit more. Very courteous. Let's type a head tag next to set up the head of this HTML file. The first thing in this section should be a meta tag. Type meta, a space, and charset, specifying the character set we'll use, UTF-8, typed with capital letters. End this tag with a closing angle bracket, then press Return. Usually you use lowercase letters in HTML, but some HTML validators will mark the lowercase version of UTF-8 as incorrect. Now we'll type the title tag. Type Sweet Crumbs Bakery between the opening and closing title tags. Click after the closing head tag and add a new line for the body section. Type the body tag and then press Return. At this point, we can paste our web page text into the body. Okay, let's see what our awesome website looks like. Click the preview icon at the top of this window. Looks like we still have some work to do. Let's start by tagging the text. Select the Sweet Crumbs Bakery in the body section. Since we'll have to enclose the text that's already written with tags, it would be convenient to use a command to take care of that. To access those special commands, press Shift-Control-P or Shift-Command-P and type wrap. The one we're looking for is emmet, wrap with abbreviation. You could click it to activate that command, but it's more efficient to assign a keyboard shortcut. Click the gear icon and then double-click the key binding field. Key binding is another word for keyboard shortcut. I've set mine to Option W. It will tell you whether there is already a key binding for your particular combination. Once you've found one that will work, and you'll remember, press Enter to set it. Click the Close icon in the top right corner of this window to get back. Now press your wrap shortcut, type H1, then press Enter or Return to set the Level 1 heading. If you don't press Enter or Return, it will assume you don't want to wrap the text you have selected, so make sure not to forget to do that. We'll do the same for the H2 headings, but there are 3 of them. That's a lot of work. No worries, we'll use multiple cursors so that we can type the same text in multiple places at once. Click on the line number for the bakery, and then hold down Alt or Option and click on the line numbers for catering and location and hours. It's already looking a lot better, but there are still a few things to fix to make the HTML correct. Untagged text in the body is a no-no. It will still display, but it's not a good practice. We'll add the p tags to the remainder of the text to keep the web standards guys happy. The Alt Option and click on the line number trick won't work as a shortcut, since that only works if what we want to select for one cursor is entirely on one line. So we have to drag through the text like a peasant. If your lines are getting cut off on the right, you can make them visible by turning on word wrap. You can get to that from the View menu or by pressing Alt or Option Z. In addition, you can prettify your code at any time by saving. Now let's add a little character formatting in the catering section. We'll italicize the "We'll handle the baking" sentence by wrapping it with an EM tag. Whew, that was a lot! Next, we'll add some graphics and make it look pretty with CSS. Here's the fun part. I've made a little logo for our fictional but real in all our hearts bakery. Instead of a JPEG or a PNG file, I've saved it as a scalable SVG. Since SVG is a vector format, it can be resized without getting blurry. The same file we use on the website can also be used for outdoor signage, and it will still look good. Click right after the body tag and press Enter to create a new line above the H1 tag. Start the image tag and then type SRC and press Tab to get inside the quote marks. Type an S and then notice that it helpfully lists the files we might want to use. Choose the scb icon.svg and press Tab to get outside the quote marks. By default, SVG files will display as large as possible, so we need to tame them a bit. But before that, let's ensure accessibility by adding an alt attribute to this image. Let's call it Sweet Crumbs Bakery logo. Now we can specify a height. Let's set it to 175. Notice we don't have to specify units, just the number in quote marks is what HTML wants. For the most part, we don't want to put too many formatting details in the HTML, since that's what CSS is for. However, we're keeping things simple for now. We could specify a width, but we don't have to, so we won't. Less is more. Now that the image tag is coded, we can close it by typing the closing angle bracket. Select the lines with the image and the H1 and wrap them in a header tag. The text in the locations and hours sections should be broken up a bit more than just with semicolons. We'll replace all of the semicolons with BR tags to put each on a separate line. I like to type enter after each BR since it doesn't automatically prettify that way. After all that hard work, let's do something easy for a change. Eventually, you'll learn how to control the appearance of your web pages by hand coding the CSS. For now, I've done it for you. Go to the Explorer pane on the left, click on the starter.txt file, and copy the lines under the CSS stuff to add later heading. Go back to your index.html and then position the text cursor after the closing title tag and press Enter to make a new line in the head section. Paste the code and watch the page transform. Pretty neat, huh? We're using custom fonts from the Google library, setting the colors of various elements to match the logo, and centering all the headings. And we're doing all that fancy formatting with just a few lines of code.